I just got off the microphone from my own show just like 10 seconds ago. So I was like, this is perfect timing. And I still have to record a solo episode. My producer was like, I need 5 solos. And I'm like,
oh my gosh. That's real. I know. It's I just call them talking days. I tell my husband, I'm like, today's a talking day.
I like that.
It's going to be all day talking. And when I'm done, I don't want to talk at all.
No talking. No more talking.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk at me. Don't start any interesting conversations about the world. Yes, I know.
This is Lisa Woolfork. And all that talking she's talking about doing is for the show she hosts called Stitch Please. It's an audio podcast that centers Black women, girls, and femmes in sewing and creativity at large. She's also an acting associate professor of English at the University of Virginia and a 6th-generation sewer herself.
It's my sewing room, so I've got like a machine over there, a machine over there, a machine over there, a machine over there.
Just and machines galore.
And a little bit of thread. This is the place where dreams get stitched up.
Lisa is also the founder of a sewing community called Black Women Stitch. She calls it a sewing group where Black lives matter. And like many important groups in which Black people come together to do an awesome thing, it was born out of the inability to do that awesome thing somewhere else. It hasn't all been quilting and roses for Lisa. And it's what she's had to overcome in her story that makes her a perfect person to speak with for part 2 of our series exploring why many Black folks are choosing to not be out in these streets protesting right now. Because Lisa knows these protest streets well. Before forming her sewing community in 2017, she was literally out in the streets protesting and nearly got hit by a car in Charlottesville, Virginia.
In 2017, I had recently survived a white supremacist terror attack. After that, I went on a quilt retreat, and many people came up to me and they said, oh my gosh, I heard about what happened, or I saw you on the news, or whatever. My church is praying for you. We're just so shocked that this happened. You know, the organizer of the event makes an announcement when I am not present. And the announcement is that Charlottesville is not to be discussed.
What?
And so I'm feeling really kind of like shaken. I'm feeling kind of targeted. I'm feeling like, should I just go home? I had been sewing and quilting with these women for about 15 years. Many of them were quite friendly, and, you know, the weekend kind of went off without a hitch. But I noticed that the organizer did not speak to me when it was time to leave. So I said goodbye, and she just stared at me and walked away, which was weird. And so about a month later, I retrieve an envelope from the mail, and it is a check that I have written for the next quilt event.
They returned your check to say, don't even bother coming?
That's exactly right. I told myself, I said, never again will I audition my humanity in exchange for doing something I loved. And Black Women Stitch was born right then.
What's striking is that when something so starkly racist and hurtful happened to Lisa, her response wasn't reactive. It was strategic. She didn't sink into that all too familiar feeling racism can trigger, the sting of isolation, the sense of being alone or being excluded. Instead, she seems to have felt something closer to clarity. She told herself, there have to be more people out there like me, and I'm going to create a safe space to bring us together. And that instinct toward togetherness, Lisa believes, may be exactly what more of us are leaning into right now.
If Black people aren't marching in these streets right now, what are we doing instead?
We are galvanizing.
Ooh.
From Vermont Public, this is Homegoings, a show that invites you to eavesdrop on candid conversations with people who will challenge what you think you know. I'm Myra Flynn. Today, part 2 of our series, If Black People Aren't Marching, Then What? Our guest is podcast host and sewist Lisa Woolfork, who shares with us the many layered reasons why she thinks Black patience and Black forgiveness should not be an assumed renewable American resource. Maybe right now. We could be quilting. This is Homegoings. We're a proud member of the NPR network. Welcome home.
Do you think my theory is true? Like, there isn't a ton of data that's released, at least for 2026, regarding how many Black folks are or aren't showing up to protest at rallies and marches.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been so much reporting and commentary and surveys from 2025 that are saying, like, where are all the Black people? 86% of this No Kings rally was white. So
Yes.
are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I think I am seeing what you're seeing, but I'm also seeing that there are Black folks out there. I think that in the protests and leadership that I've seen, like in the Minnesota protests, 2 Black women were arrested for an anti-ICE protest direct action.
Federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest.
So I think that we are out there. I think what is different is we are not out there in such large and dramatic numbers that people are accustomed to seeing us. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that 92% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris and felt like we told you what was going to happen. We voted in a way that reflected that, and you still refuse to listen. Why do you keep asking us for things that you don't truly want? And so I think what I sometimes feel is I've seen a lot of folks say things like, where's Kamala Harris? You know, she wanted to be president, and where is she now? And I'm like, why on earth would she do the job you refuse to hire her for?
Even Michelle Obama, when she got out of office, was like, don't even call me for it.
Don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time.
I almost wrote her a bunch of times. I was so curious, like, what made you so done? But I'm like, this is what made you so done.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I think the idea that somehow Black patience and Black forgiveness is a renewable American resource. I think that one of the unique tricks of American slavery is the ways in which it had become a system for which no one was responsible. And this idea that somehow Black people are not allowed to be upset about it.
Right.
And so
that part, right.
And so it feels as though what I'm witnessing, and why I think some folks might be reluctant to engage in direct action in the streets, for example, is because what I have been feeling personally is that watching these folks have their new awakening, having these folks understand that, oh my goodness, the police have excessive abusive power. Did you know they could shoot someone and not have responsibility and just have immunity? Did you know that? And it's like, yes, I've known that. I knew that since Elijah McClain. I knew that since Trayvon Martin. I knew that since Tamir Rice. I knew that since Oscar Grant. I knew that. This idea that somehow we are being expected to show our work is a question I refuse to answer.
What is it people are asking us to do? Do you think it's marching, or what do they want from us?
I think they want absolution. I think they want someone to show them what to do. They want someone to help absorb the heat. They want someone to, in some ways, validate their experience with a certain type of Black people bona fide stamp. But the thing that I'm reminded of, and I've said this before, I said, if you understood the fugitive slave law in the first place, we might not even have this situation at all. It is only because the fugitive slave law was allowed to function and operate where everyone in the nation supported the slave-holding South. Everyone was responsible to make sure that any escaped Black person would be returned to bondage, whether you believed in that or not. And that's what we see with this attack on sanctuary cities. That's what we see now with these abductions and pulling people out of schools and having no safe zones. So if you go to church, if you go to court and are doing things the right way, you can still be taken.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So there's so many things that have happened to Black people that set the stage for what is happening now.
I've been seeing a lot of ICE agents recently being called slave patrollers.
Yes, that makes more sense because I think that in the same ways that we understand that fascism is a global threat, we also have a lot of American precedents for what is happening now. And the frustration that I personally feel is that this was acceptable when it was happening to Black people.
Right.
That there was a time in the 19th century and up through the 20th century where certain things that we might consider a crime were not considered crimes. You know? And so between the Black codes, between Plessy versus Ferguson, between Dred Scott, we have case after case after case that American law was necessary to combat legalized anti-Blackness.
Right.
And that was a category somehow. And it just feels frustrating to watch for those of us who know that Blackness was designed or treated as a category where we are the canary in the coal mine of American democracy. What are the greatest abuses that you can do and have and still be considered a shining beacon of democracy? What can you do as long as you're doing it to Black people?
Right.
Then we can practice how we do it to everybody else.
I'm not going to assume, but I'm going to maybe assume that you're also completely disgusted and concerned about what's happening to immigrants in this country right now.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
But also at the same time frustrated with how Blackness has been allowed to operate with that same harm done to us for centuries. How do you wrestle with that rub of both holding empathy and being pissed?
I think it's I'm able to hold it, I think, easily. I don't see the difference. Well, I do see the difference, I think, but the difference that I'm watching, essentially watching white people be newly shocked over something that I've known for a long time is not a new sensation.
Right.
And it does nothing to get in the way of my empathy, compassion, and the need to demilitarize the police. I've been talking about demilitarizing the police for what feels like a decade.
Right.
And so that we share these aims. And I think it's the same kind of rub that any Black person feels who has grown up or grown through the idea that if it is something for Black people, it can't really exist. But if it's for quote unquote people of color, then that is something we can kind of all get behind. Right. And so I think part of it is just another new operation of anti-Blackness. And, you know, we deal with that in the same way we deal with all of it. You know, you continue to live, you continue to put one foot in front of the other, you continue to put one dream in front of the other. You don't let someone derail you or derail your thoughts and hopes and dreams because you're not pursuing liberation on their schedule. We, as Black folks, we are not behind. We are not behind in this question. And I, for one, will not be questioned by someone who just got here. I will not have my approach, response, or anything questioned or challenged by someone, as I might say in another context, hasn't done the reading.
Right. Hasn't done the homework. Right.
Hasn't done the homework.
Hasn't done the homework.
Doesn't realize that, that we have been talking about this as Black folks and excessive policing and brutality and watching us get murdered on camera and still it not being persuasive enough. We've watched them lie about us even as they are killing us. I think about that Black man who, I think maybe Oklahoma, who was walking, it was like a helicopter, was looking down at this traffic stop and watching a cop basically execute a man who was walking toward her with his hands up. And he looks down and says, "Oh, he was a bad dude." From
the sky.
From the sky.
From the sky.
From the sky.
It's wild.
I'm not going to be shocked. Of course, I'm outraged because it's outrageous, but I'm outraged a lot. I'm outraged quite often. I spend there's a lot of time that I spend in outrage, in fear, in all of these things. At the same time, because I know we are not new to this, we are true to this. We have been pursuing liberation ever since they have taken it from us. And it's gonna look different, I think. But I think what's worth reminding people of, or even just reminding ourselves of, is that we don't have to show our work to anyone.
And I think also there is something happening right now where collectively Black women are agreeing with that sentiment and not showing up in these streets for all of the reasons that you just listed. Can we go back to this word galvanizing?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is, all right, because we have been outraged. We're tired. We are over it. And we are visibly stepping back from putting our bodies on the front lines at the current moment. What are we doing instead? How are we galvanizing?
So when I thought about galvanizing, and I was thinking about like what I imagined it doing, I imagined galvanizing being something that is kind of almost like pulling all the metal filings together, like drawing all of these little tiny, like drawing all these little tiny metal filings together. Right. Pulling these things together. But what it really is that galvanization kind of also, I guess, scientifically speaking, provides this kind of protective coat or layer around the metal object. And so I think what I'm seeing is us moving to protect ourselves, which is what the galvanizing process does, but also helping us to kind of remind ourselves of our value, and I think that's what the step back could possibly represent. And again, I do want to acknowledge that there are Black women who are out there. There
Absolutely.
are Black women in Minnesota who are organizing bookstores, who are participating in all kinds of different food drives, who are in the streets, who are making calls. I don't want to say that all Black women are opting out.
Right.
There are a lot of Black women who are opting out. And there's some of us who are opting to let other people take the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see this as me not stepping into the streets. I don't see that way. I see it as an opportunity to let someone else step forward. If we always step forward, then there's no space for other people to step forward. And this is an opportunity for that to happen.
Right.
And this is not an end. This is a beginning. It is a true, unfortunate marathon and not a sprint.
Right.
And so you are going to need people in 3 months, 6 months, who are not entirely exhausted, who have the capacity to share messaging, to create messaging, to be involved in a direct action down the line, right? Not everybody needs to do all the same things at all the same times. you know.
Right. Right.
But I definitely am not going to overlook the fact that there are some Black women who are choosing to protect their peace, to move in ways that feel good and ethical. You know, they're reposting things online. They're using their platforms to draw attention. They're going on Instagram Live and just kind of sharing their feelings. They're donating to mutual aid funds. You know, they're sharing those resources. So Black women, we're not going to not do nothing. Like, that's just
Right.
not in us. Like,
Right.
I've heard these quotes about, like, I think the word lazy I think it's really dangerous and ugly, honestly. I think the idea of the lazy slave is one of those tricks of white supremacy. Like, what's lazier than stealing an entire person to do your work for you? I'm just saying, it's
Right.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's
I
very
mean,
true.
really, only white people will be like, you lazy slave. What? I'm supposed to work hard?
Oxymoron. That's
I'm supposed to
wild.
work? What? No.
Yeah.
But Black women being lazy. Like, I don't know any. Maybe that's just my
Mm.
circle. I don't know any lazy Black women. I don't. And I think the people that might use that word are probably mad because we're not doing enough for them,
Mm.
you know?
I
And
haven't
so
heard this term popping up yet. Is it out there right now? People are saying that
I
because we're not showing up that we're lazy?
No. Let me
Okay.
not misspeak. I do not believe that is happening at all. But
Okay.
what I do think, the word lazy gets tossed around too much.
Mm.
And I think it gets tossed around because some people want to control other people's time.
Mm.
And what I think Black women are doing, as what we might imagine, is what Maxine Waters talked about, and that's reclaiming my time.
Mm.
And so we do, and I think that there are Black women, we have hearts, we see what's happening. And that's why I say I've seen a lot of folks reposting things, sharing things, letting people know what's happening. And so I don't think we're sitting this out. I think that there are
Right.
many people who they might not be like in the streets and for direct action. And they're, you know how it is. Not everybody is cut out for that. Not everybody has capacity to do that. And so they probably weren't going to be doing it anyway, and the people that have done it, will be the ones that are going to do it again. So I just feel as though we are at, unfortunately, a beginning, and we are going to need to have reserves. I think we're going to need to pace ourselves. And I think that we're going to need to draw upon our ancestral survival skills.
Amen. Amen.
I really believe that. Like, I'll tell anyone, and I still believe this to be true. We have survived so many things that were designed to destroy us.
Mm.
And in the same way that we might have intergenerational trauma, we also have intergenerational survival and intergenerational thriving.
Mm.
We did more than just live. We did more than just survive. We are more than the bare minimum. And because of that, I don't believe we owe anyone anything. And what people choose to give, I think, is given in love. It's given in solidarity. It's given in the firm belief that things can and will and should be better, but also with the understanding that we are the ones that are going to make it better.
Mm.
And in order to make it better, you will need reserves. You will need energy. You will need a community. And that, I think, community has to have some degree of elasticity that allows everybody's gifts to shine for the greater good.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to continue to be a part of the Homegoings family, like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. Stay in touch at homegoings.co and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Take good care. Bye.